in the give. A little stutter step down to the goal line and into the end zone for that Steelers touchdown is Kalen Balaj. And I tell you what, I don't like to dig up past names, but there was a little echo of Le'Veon Bell in that little stutter step. His fourth-round pick in 17. 6'3", 216. Shotgun snap. Throws it for the goal line. Touchdown. Going out to his right. Tyler Simmons, the first-year receiver out of Georgia, had a step on Reggie Robinson, hauled it in, and that 5-yard strike gives the Steelers a little breathing room at 8:44 to go.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition here of the Men of Steel podcast, where, of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richey, right now. And it is final right now as the Pittsburgh Steelers have defeated the Dallas Cowboys in their preseason opener. The final score of this game tonight being 16-3, as the Steelers had 16 unanswered points in the second half after trailing 3-0 in the first half of this contest. So they outscored the Cowboys 16-3 in the second half. There was a missed PA attempt by Sam Sloman in this game, but he did make it up later on with a 48-yard field goal try later on in the game, which did put the Steelers up 9-3, I believe it was, at that point in time. But for right now, pretty decent night for the Steelers, especially on the defense right now. Some quick observations we'll begin to in just a moment here. Also, special shout out and congratulations right now to Jimmy Johnson, former two-time Super Bowl champion, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It was announced by Jerry Jones shortly before the game that he'll finally be getting inducted into the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. Congratulations, Jimmy Johnson. A well-deserved honor, a long time coming, as he and fellow coach himself, Bill Cowher, will be going into the Hall of Fame together, as we will look at going in right now. But other than that, I'd like to get your thoughts tonight on what went down between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. First game of the year. I mean, it is preseason. But I'd like to hear your thoughts right now going into this 2021 campaign, especially with the quarterback battle as we look at it. And what did you guys think? What was the main concerns that stood out? Najee Harris had a pretty decent game, I guess you could say. He had 7 carries for 22 yards, averaging 3.1 yards carry. And, I mean, one of the biggest things, too, that stood out, only 1 sack allowed. So, I mean, that doesn't seem too surprising. But, I mean, with this new wave of the offensive line, I think that's a very encouraging sign right now you got to look at, considering. I think that was going to be one of the main concerns for Ben Roethlisberger once he's ready to get another star to kick off the season this year. I wonder how much, if they're going to be giving up many more sacks. But as we look at it right now, for the most part, did pretty good with the backups. Ben Roethlisberger, he was on the sideline wearing the headset tonight, as we saw. And the Pittsburgh Steelers get a nice, commanding victory to open up the start of the preseason. Remember, them along with Dallas Cowboys each have 4 preseason games, as we learned going into the season that most of the people will be having all the teams will be having 3 preseason games. Well, the Steelers and the Cowboys, fortunate for them, they do get one more crack at this. So another game, nonetheless, but they are victorious, and we'll be seeing right now as more comes in. And I got to tell you right now, I mean, for the people who get a little concerned right now if preseason is a little bit unnecessary, if there should be talks about eliminating it, I don't think so. I think this is one of the reasons why you keep it here. I mean, if you ask me, I think if anything, for the Steelers and for any teams in the league, when you really want to truly look at it, I think preseason football is so vital and important to get teams in rhythm. As we saw what last year happened when it was a COVID year. But I'm not so sure if I'm in the rush right now to eliminate all together because for the simple fact is this. Do we really want to go, I mean, getting teams ready by hitting the weights, also doing one-on-one practice battles here? And that's the only thing I take a little concern with right now. For those checking me out on Instagram Live, as I'm going live right now, we're recapping the Steelers' preseason opener versus Dallas Cowboys. They defeat them 16-3. Opening question I want to ask Steeler Nation and NFL fans along who are watching this podcast: what do you guys think? Preseason right now, is it something you want to eventually see NFL teams do away with? Is it something that the NFL should keep? Remember, the Steelers and the Cowboys are two out of 32 teams that will be having 4 preseason games this year right now. Just want to say a quick shout out right now to Pete and to Book. Join me here on Instagram Live. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think it would be a big mistake to get rid of it, if you ask me. I don't think I'm ready to slice down that quick. I think the preseason still needs to be available. You want to see your depth chart, obviously. But at the same time, too, I think if anything, they did to just at least 3 games. I'm okay with that. I know the biggest retort would be, well, why have a 17-game season when potentially balloon up to 18 games, which some people have issue with, more particularly the players in that camp. But I'm of the mindset right now that you need to get yourself ready for opponents when it starts coming for the regular season. Because if anything, that's how you push each other. That's how you push people who want to make an impact on a team, that want to be on the roster, not cut. Guys who are trying to avoid being on practice squads and truly playing and making differences in games or contributions. And I know, I mean, one of the biggest things too, I mean, part of the rule changes, we just saw Mike Pereira, who was on with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the game on Fox that we just saw today, Fox and NFL Network, which broadcasted the game for the Steelers and Cowboys game, was going to be blocks below the waist, especially, you talk about how they're trying to protect quarterbacks at the head level, but also with the knee injuries, the knees as well. So that's one other concern right now. But yeah, I felt, if anything, right now, just watching this game, it's a toss-up for me. I think Mason Rudolph tonight, despite not leading his team to scoring drives, I thought he looked pretty darn sharp other than that tonight. He played with some pressure. He did have that botched snap, which was fumble, where he was trying to do a jet sweep handoff to Chase Claypool, which was recovered by the Cowboys by Micah Parsons. But I mean, other than that, I mean, he did pretty good. I mean, if you look at a guy in Mason Rudolph and tonight's game, he started off the game 3-3 for 21 yards, and then finished the game 6 for 9 for 84 yards. I mean, which is pretty decent. Dwayne Haskins, on the other hand, I mean, for the most part in this game, he went 8 of 13 for 54 yards. He had Joshua Dobbs, who finished off the night too right now as for tonight's game. He went 4-6 for 37 yards, getting the Steelers only on this game. And that touchdown was a catch made by Tyler Simmons with 8:44 to go, I believe, left in the third quarter. You did see Sam Solomon. He was filling in for Chris Boswell tonight. He missed the PA attempt, but he did make up for it later on with a 48-yard field goal attempt. His night for Sam Solomon, he went 1 for 2, basically. But I gotta tell you, on the special teams, speaking of kicking, Presley Harvin III out of Georgia, boy, he makes some really good punts tonight. And I know I was one of the guys who was critical on this team for getting your last pick with a punter in the NFL draft. But I mean, you had a lot of guys in the media like Bob Papiani, especially Ron Cook, both on 937 The Fan, hosts on that show on Odyssey, 937 The Fan in Pittsburgh. So you didn't really like this kid right now as a punter. And if you really, I mean, look at it too, I mean, Jordan Berry, I think, who definitely needs a little bit of competition right now. I mean, it goes to show you, I mean, they're looking for something a little bit more aggressive when it comes to paying their opponents deep. I mean, you look at like the stat line for a guy like Harvin, who had 4 punts for 183 yards, allowing speed 51 yards. He had 3 inside the 20-yard line. Now, granted, like I said, opening preseason game, so let's see how it translates into the regular season. But I think of anything, I mean, you got to be pleased with that for his first debut as a Steeler on special teams. I mean, if there's one thing that continues to remind us right now when it comes to football especially, you want to make your worth be proved on special teams. I mean, like how you make your immediate standouts impressions. And I think he's done that so far for the most part. But I think if anything, too, I mean, I know in training camp, too, I mean, when we look at it, I mean, we saw the defense definitely still being aggressive, creating turnovers. And tonight's game versus the Dallas Cowboys, too, by the way, the Steelers in this game to finish out the night, they were +2 in the turnover ratio for this game. As we saw it here tonight, it was at least for this game going in here as we looked at it. We saw, I mean, in this game versus the Cowboys right here tonight, as we looked at it, it was in this game an interception by Donovan Steiner in this contest here. And then also, too, for this game.
This time, our delicious,
looked at it,
crispy, hand-battered
was
chicken
also a fumble recovery
comes in peace.
by Antoine Brooks Jr.
Get nuggets delivered exclusively on the Popeyes app.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
So nice wander for 52 from the left hand.
And there you have it. I mean, pretty darn impressive if you ask me. I mean, for this game. And you look at everything right now, and more going back to like what I was saying earlier too about Tyler Simmons. Simmons had a great start to training camp. I mean,
we finally found our dream home in the mountains.
It is bear country, though.
Hey,
he caught a couple of touchdowns and
Bear,
shots,
Bear.
making
Look,
plays
one of the
throughout the team session.
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance
Performance was
easy.
coming on Friday
For
night,
bundling made
team
easy, go to
drills,
geico.com.
which clearly caught Tomlin's eye. And attention to special teams coordinator Danny Smith, who's been with the team since 2013. He is going into his 9th season as special teams coordinator with the Steelers right now. And yeah, I believe there's got to be a real good roster spot for him coming up. When we see the rosters get cut down, and I really liked it so far. Yeah, sure. Cowboys, on the other hand, right now we're going into the season right now with head coach Mike McCarthy nearly won the division with a 7-9 record. Instead, they finished out their season getting swept by the Giants. Finishing off the season 6-10 right now. As we look at it, I mean, like I said, the only sack of the night for the Dallas Cowboys, which came in this. No, they had 0 sacks. Excuse me. All right. So I mean, yeah. I mean, a pretty good night for the Steelers, for the black and gold. They win this one. Their defense altogether had, let's see, for tonight's game, as we looked at it, 4 tackles for a loss right now. Alex Highsmith had 2 of those for tonight's game, which included 3 total tackles and a sack. As Steelers would finish this game with 4 sacks, shut out in the sack department right there versus the Cowboys. Let's look at everything. Like I said, yeah, Rudolph, Haskins and Dobbs right now. Haskins, I know there's been a lot of encouragement about this kid, but what do you guys think? Do you think there's a chance that Haskins may not make the roster at the end of training camp? I know Mike Tomlin has definitely been enthused about him, trying to work with him. As far as getting him better, trying to be the best version of himself. I'm not so sure if I'm ready to see if he's gonna be the guy that sticks around in the long haul. A lot of people feel that Mason Rudolph, he's a guy who's really got to earn his spot. And to be honest, I'm not sure if he's starting quarterback material right now, even beyond Ben Roethlisberger. You heard our for Moats along with Andrew Filipponi and Chris Muller, also on the PM team with Paulie and Miller on 93.7 The Fan. They were talking about how they view it still as an open competition. Nothing's set in stone for a guy like Mason Rudolph, but you also heard Dwayne Haskins, who was also mentioned in an interview that was quoted by Brown Cook and Andrew Filipponi. They had some things mentioned to him. He felt like there was expectations coming in to him onto this team. He was told some stuff. We're not so sure how that's going to work out, but I definitely do feel like Haskins right now, I don't see him going anywhere. I still feel like the odd man out is going to probably be Joshua Dobbs, or if he's not on the quarterback depth chart, can they utilize this guy as a special player? And that's the thing. Matt Canada, I really wonder how much is he going to sell Mike Tomlin, and especially Ben Roethlisberger on this offense, get a little bit more creative, think outside of the box, where they can incorporate some more Wildcat plays. Because, when you look at both Dobbs and Rudolph, Rudolph, who had a real good showing in the last regular season game to try and keep the Browns out of the playoffs, Browns ended up winning that game, not by much. They barely hung on to win that game. I think winning by 2 points, I want to say it was. But at the end, or by a point, I forget it. But at the end of the day, Rudolph, you would have thought that he still had pretty good future to still prove himself as a starting quarterback on this team. But I think Joshua Dobbs too, I just don't see it as a passing guy. Maybe this is as far as he will go in the preseason. I'm not so sure if he would be on this team, because clearly, why would you let the guy go and he would sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple of years ago? I'm just not so sure if I'm ready to keep this guy around for long, because, obviously they did bring him back, to the Steelers. Because remember, back in 2019, he was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars, not released, excuse me. Got traded for a 5th-round pick in the 2020 draft. And then, and this was shortly after Mason Rudolph won the quarterback job behind Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. So let's find out. I'm just not sure Josh Dobbs is the guy that's going to be here on the stay or to come up. But I do once again want to give a big shout out to Jimmy Johnson, who, just like a fellow head coach who will be in the 2020 Hall of Fame class, Bill Cowher, each will be going into the Hall of Fame this year. Former 2-time Super Bowl champion of the Dallas Cowboys, also national champion with Miami Hurricanes. One of rare few head coaches in the NFL that have won a Super Bowl championship along with a national college championship. I think the only other one to do it outside of Jimmy Johnson in recent memory was Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks, as he won back-to-back titles, the USC Trojans, remember, He won that one in 2003 as co-champions with the other one with LSU. They shared the title that year, but then they did go on to win it outright in 2004, the following season. So congratulations, Jimmy Johnson, the Ring of Honor. Many people have fought, and sorry to be talking with Dallas Cowboys right here, folks, but I have to mention this right now. But I mean, like him and Jerry Jones right there, I mean, don't forget when they parted ways and he got dismissed as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones was clearly upset with the idea that he was not getting the attention that he felt like was deserved. I mean, yes, Jerry Jones was a guy that was signing the contracts, working hand in hand with Jimmy Johnson, recruiting the talent, and Jimmy Johnson doing his job as coaching up the players. Remember, there was like a short meeting after they won their second Super Bowl where they repeated in 1994, I think, where Jimmy Johnson was with a few of his former assistant coaches that were no longer part of the Dallas Cowboys. I think one of them was also Dave Wants that Jerry Jones went to tip his glass, I mean, to the head coaches. But when Jimmy Johnson really didn't want to, reluctantly, he pretty much walked away thinking that anybody could coach this team with this talent. He did manage to win one more Super Bowl with a guy like Barry Switzer. Obviously, it wasn't something that was meant in the cards to last long term, but they did manage to win one more. And ever since then, it was a lot of misfortune for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, if you think about it. I mean, for the Dallas Cowboys in this league, when you truly think about it, they only made the playoffs back in that time. I mean, when you look at it, only 5 other times in that, and only having 3 playoff wins since then. I mean, mind you, or 6 times. They made it 6 times back in 2003, 2007, 2009, 2014. 2016, 2018, where they only had 3 playoff wins in total. I mean, for that duration. And a lot of people, I mean, Jerry Jones even admits himself when he reflects back at when Jimmy Johnson's going into the Hall of Fame that he truly bleeped it up. But nonetheless, congratulations. That's been a long time coming. A lot of people have been wondering when that moment was going to happen for Jimmy Johnson. Well deservedly so, which was started by Tex Schramm, the original owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who created the Ring of Honor. I can only imagine what this feels like, this honor it's got to be for Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he knew what was going to happen, I mean, at some point. But, I mean, as Jimmy Johnson was saying, I think other people think about the Ring of Honor a lot more than I do. He said, Jerry's told me numerous times he's going to put me in the Ring of Honor, and I think that they will come whenever Jerry feels like it, which is fine with me. I know what we were able to accomplish, and I'm very proud of that. So congratulations, Jimmy Johnson.
Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink. I got you. Let's go.